All right, guys, quick note before this video gets started. We're waiting on some stuff for the Camaro, 69 Camaro. So I thought now would be a perfect time to upload the video for a Camaro that I picked up a few months ago, earlier in the winter. Really quick project, but fun project. Thought it might be fun to document the process so you guys can check it out. So this is a car I picked up a few months ago. Worked on it over this winter. You've probably seen it in the background in a couple of these videos. So yeah. Now you get to know the story of the red Camaro, and hope you guys enjoy. Whoops, just can't stop buying these things. Well, guys, can't already tell, we got another project. Looks a lot like this one that you've already seen, but she's red. So yeah, we got another 4th gen F-body, specifically a 4th gen Camaro, and this one is a 2002 SS automatic hardtop. This one's a convertible, obviously. This one has 27,000 miles. This one has 18,000 original miles. So if my math is correct here, less than 50,000 miles combined between these two cars. This one is also bone stock, except for probably tires and battery. Rare hardtop. Like I said, most of these came with a T-top. This has got the hardtop super base model car as far as, it is an SLP car, obviously. So it's got the spoiler, wheels, SS badging, hood, etc. But cloth interior. They did opt for the automatic transmission, but other than that, it is a pretty bare bones, you know, late 90s, early 2000s Camaro. As you'd expect for a 18,000 mile car, it is very, very clean. I haven't found a single dent on it yet. The only thing that I have noticed is the potential that this car had a very light, maybe parking lot incident, I guess we'll call it, because there's nothing on the Carfax. And I'll show you why I think that. First thing, you may or may not be able to tell on camera, you know, here's what your factory, this is the driver's quarter panel before paint correction. Factory paint is going to look like as far as orange peel. Let me come up to the hood here, see if I can get the lighting right. There we go. See that? Most of you guys know that's orange peel, and if you don't know, the reason it's called orange peel is because the paint looks like the surface of an orange. Way too much texture. You know, you can barely see my fluorescent light there with any sort of clarity. Again, we come over to the mirror, which we know hasn't been hit, much less. You know, you can see it just everywhere, all over the hood. A little bit on the bumper too, not nearly as bad as the hood. Yeah, that's really not going to show up on camera, but the hood is just bad. Then if we open the hood, it's even more obvious. Driver's side, you can see typically engine bays are just kind of dusted, no clear coat. You can see none of these bolts have paint missing, and it's pretty dull under here. Come over to this side, bright red, and you can see that there's some paint missing from bolts here and there. No, I mean the radiator support is just factory perfect, frame rails are perfect, everything is perfect and factory other than this fender and the hood. But it is a factory hood, and even though they painted over it, you can see here, again, you guys might not be able to see on camera, but there's a factory GM part number on this fender. So this is an original fender, same thing with the bumper. So there's been some paint work in this area, but my guess is it was a very, very light, like I said, parking lot, someone backed into it or whatever, because as far as I can tell, all the panels are original, but they were repainted. Obviously that, you know, what you saw on the fender there, that's not how it's done from the factory. You can tell that it's been removed. You can tell that the fender's been removed, that you can tell that the hood's been repainted with the orange peel. Same thing right here. You know, the bracket that the hood is on doesn't match at all, so they obviously repainted the underside of the hood as well. Not that they did a bad job. I don't know what happened with the hood. It's the only panel that's like this, but we're going to need some attention. So let's get into what this car needs. It's not a lot. It's going to be a quick video. I got this car last night. It was a long day going to get this thing. Got home from a vacation, got home from the airport at midnight, woke up at 5, drove 6 hours there, checked it out, loaded it up, drove back, got home at almost 8 o'clock the next night. So long trip to get this thing, but I think it was worth it. Quickly washed it today, as you saw, pulled in the garage just now, and we're going to try and bang this car out in less than 2 days, which is this weekend. So you guys are going to come along for the ride, see what I do on a you know, a quick project like this. And like I said, this one's not going to take much, but as far as steps or as far as, you know, what it needs, but some of the stuff like paint correction is extremely time consuming, so we got to get to work. So here we go. I already washed it. Going to need to wet sand the hood. I'm going to start with a test spot, see what's going to work. Clean up the undercarriage. It's a little dusty. Paint correction, obviously. Interior detail. Remove badges. This car was owned by an older gentleman, and I don't know if he put these on or the dealer that he bought the car from put them on, but obviously this car is an SS. Can't also be a Z28, technically. Even though these cars left the factory from GM as a Z28, they were shipped to SLP and the SS options were put on. Technically, they can't be a Z28 and an SS. It has to be one or the other. These badges are aftermarket, so they got to go. So peel those off. But I think that's where we're going to start. We're going to get those badges off, and then I'm going to wet sand part of the hood, see what my technique is, maybe do a test spot. Worst case scenario, hopefully this doesn't happen, but we got to repaint this hood. This is unacceptable to me for an 18,000 mile car. I'm hoping we can just get away with a wet sand cut and buff, but we'll see. So let's get those badges off, start wet sanding, and we'll go from there. All right, so we just did a little test area right here in this corner. I hope you guys can tell in this lighting, but I'm happy with what we have so far. So over here you can see a bunch of orange peel, then you get into the area that I've wet sanded. Much smoother. Still a couple little scratches I got to get out. That was only with one pass in the buffer, but I'm happy with how that looks compared to the rest of this, you know, garbage. So I think we're going to do that on the rest of the hood. So my process was 2000 grit, 2500 grit, and then compound. And then I'll obviously do the whole thing with a polish as well. So nothing to it but to do it. Let's smooth out this hood. All right, guys. Next day, after a few hours, solid hours of wet sanding, compounding, wet sanding, back and forth, I got this hood where I think I'm happy enough with it. Looks like the rest of the factory paint. Just a tiny little bit of orange peel, just to let you know that it's not, a show, car that's been, wet sanded to perfection. Even all these factory panels have a little bit of orange peel on them, but as you saw before, it was just trash. It was completely excessive. Also, on a paint job like this, where you're unsure of the age and quality, you really don't want to get greedy, because you could burn through the clear coat and then you're kind of screwed, which I actually did in one little spot, which I'll show you. And it's barely going to be noticeable. We'll polish it up; it'll look fine. But you can tell that this I've just wet sanded this so much that it's definitely thin in some areas. But the way it looked before was unacceptable, so we had to do it. But here you go. Yeah, like I said, very, very nice. Much better than before. Hopefully you guys can see this on camera. If not, I'll pop up on the screen, quick before and after, just so you guys can kind of compare how they looked. But looks, in person, looks tons better. Matches the rest of the paint. Everything's gonna look great once it's all polished up. I burned through right there. You can kind of see how it's a little bit dull there. That's down to the base coat, basically. So, I had to be really careful on the rest of the hood. That's just part of it. Like I said, it looks 100 times better than it did. I'm okay with it. It is a 22-year-old car, or a 20-year-old car. So, yeah. Hood is wet sand, cut, color sanded, polished, or buffed, whatever you want to call it. So now I basically have to do the rest of the car. The rest of the paint is in excellent shape as far as I can tell. So we'll just do a cut, polish, and then we'll seal it up. So what we're going to use is the same thing that we used before. So Menzerna heavy cut compound with a microfiber pad. And we'll come around with the Menzerna polishing compound and a foam green pad. And then we'll seal it all up. You guys have seen me do it a bunch of times. So let's do it. Let's polish this thing up. Woo! Next day here, after many hours of running that buffer, paint's looking real nice. So you guys know the deal, done it a bunch of times on the channel. Cutting compound with the microfiber pad and then polishing compound with the foam pad really brought this paint back. As a lot of the cars I buy, like, the paint was in good shape, but had some swirls, holograms, and just needed some clarity brought back. So went over the whole car. Looks like an 18,000 mile car should. So it looks fantastic. So last step is we got to seal it all in. So we're going to put a synthetic paint sealant on the car. We'll let that cure for an hour or so. I'll get the garage heating up right now. I'll get the heater on. And in the meantime, we can kind of, you know, give the interior a quick detail. I mean, this thing is immaculate as is. You know, 18,000 miles, basically zero bolster wear on these beautiful 90s GM seats. But, you know, basically brand new, no wear anywhere. So this should be really quick, just a quick vacuum and wipe down. And this thing should be pretty much ready. Might jack it up, take a peek at the underside. You know, quick final little stuff like wiping off the windshield, getting rid of all this polishing dust, and making this thing 100%. So a pretty quick little project, but we got a few things left to knock out, so let's get after them and call this thing done. All right, guys, well, unfortunately, that's going to do it for this video. I usually like to take the car out, drive it, show you guys, you know, the mechanicals and how the car runs and drives, but it's the middle of winter here in New Hampshire. The roads are salted. I'm not taking any of these cars that are in here on a salted road. You know, it's just not what an 18,000 mile, almost collector quality vehicle deserves. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this quick video, just a quick, quick project for me. May or may not see this car. Where are you? There you go. Red car on the channel again. But yeah, really super happy with how it came. Beautiful, beautiful 18,000 mile SS. So as always, hope you guys enjoyed. Comment, let me know what you think. Subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for a lot more stuff coming on the channel. We'll see you then.